back! Welcome back, everyone. Union Smack right here at Biggie TMD on YouTube. As always, with me, my co-host for this. Been a minute, but glad you're back, my friend. Matt Tennant, the Maniac. What's going on? How you been? Where can everyone catch you?
I've been so-so, but let's move on. From this week, Travis. And you can catch me as usual, as always, on Twitter at the Perfect Tenant. You can buy both of our shirts, the official Bicky TMD shirt, the official Union Smack shirt at unionsmack.bigcartel.com. And you know what? You can catch me over at Wrestle Talk. Most of the thumbs, I'm going to say most of the articles on there are mine after this week. So, do you know what? Yeah, come and check me out. Say hi and be nice. Can I just say, sorry, Travis, this is unplanned, but if you're going to comment on one of my articles, please don't be a dickhead about it. It's like a lot of time goes into this stuff. A lot of my day, in fact, most of my day goes into this, as do all the Wrestle Talk writers. So if you're going to comment on something, like, don't be a cock about it.
Don't be a cock.
Just be fucking nice. You know, there's a lack of nice people in this world, so be one of them.
That's one of the two movements we can get going this week. Hashtag be fucking nice. And the other one we'll talk about in a second after I plug myself, as always, at the Bicky TMD on Twitter. Hit that subscribe right down below. Retro Gaming Pro Wrestling. And yes, you know how I'm feeling, Matt, this week? You know how I'm feeling once again this week? Rambunctious. Once again, it continues week 2. Rocky's Rambunctious giveaway. A couple of you hit us up on Twitter already. Thank you for that.
Yes,
Matt,
thank you.
Got a new word this week. And
we have. There is a brand new word this week. And you know what? We're going to try, after the feedback we got from last week, we're going to try and make it a tiny bit easier for you. It's not going to be completely easy because that would be pointless. But you know what? A tiny bit easier for you to recognise the word. And we've got no hint. Keep your eyes on my Twitter feed, later this week, because I'll put like a little hint out like I did last week. But we can tell you that this week's word, Travis, isn't going to be anything to do with Rebellion 99 or anyone in it that we're reviewing. So there's a little clue. Listen out for a word that's got absolutely nothing to do with anything.
See, Matt's nicer than me. You hear that, guys? They're going to hold your hand this week, give you a little hint. You can win yourselves your very own free t-shirt, and your choice, too, by the way. Also, the brand new Bicky Team t-shirt now up on BigCartel.com. Once again, Union Smack. Get over there, check it out. Keyword Union Smack, by the way, for all things on the store.
Yeah.
All 2 shirts, but still better than none. And thank you once again, Rocky, for your Rambunctious giveaway and for all you do for us, all the promotional stuff. All that being said, unfortunately, something always happens. I feel like we plan this out for like a week to record today, but I feel like something happens the day of that we don't have on our format going in that's really newsworthy. And unfortunately, it's not to bring the show down, but today actually Nikolai Volkov, along with Too Sexy Brian Christopher, unfortunately passing away. Both very different circumstances, very different careers. Just want to give our little thoughts and a little bit of tribute here to both men, because both very noteworthy. I feel like both contributed a lot in their own ways, But first, Nikolai Volkov, 70 years old, passing away overnight. I knew he had gotten sick recently because shout out to our buddy Logan. Actually had in the works through his buddy Andy Weinberg, who's a good friend of Nikolai Volkov, had that interview in the works. Unfortunately, Nikolai had gotten sick. No one knew he had gotten this sick. Unfortunately, lost the battle. I was always a Nikolai fan. I mean, he was never a top guy, but I feel like he always, even when he was in the $1 Million Corporation, right, which was kind of feel bad for him, but taking that gimmick at the time. But I feel like he was always what he should have been for that role. He played the Soviet, sympathizer or whatever, countryman, annoyingly enough. And even in the Ted DiBiase thing, he was supposed to come off looking pathetic in that role, and he did good at that. I mean, but very different in the 70s. He was main eventing stuff with world champions before he came to WWE. He was very promising outlook. It's just like there was so much talent when they swooped him up along with so many guys. He just fell into mid-card territory, and he still won tag titles with the Iron Sheik, probably his most famous role, Matt. But I was a Nikolai fan. What can I say?
Yeah. I wasn't a Nikolai fan, but then again, it's like I wasn't really a Sergeant Slaughter fan either. So But Nikolai Volkov, like, you go back and watch his matches now, they stand out. He wasn't a bad wrestler. You're right, he got lost in the mid card. Didn't really get to show what he could do probably in WWE/WWF. But I think, like, the role he played, the foreign heel, obviously before WWE ruined it and brought him in as an American sympathizer or whatever horrendous thing it was. Like, the foreign heel thing he had down to a T. And I think now, if wrestlers today are going to go back and look at Nikolai Volkov's work, that's probably something they can take, from him. How to be a good heel.
Yeah.
If anything, that's probably going to be his legacy to the industry.
He's one of those guys who should be remembered for the character, how good they did the character, as opposed to never use his ring work as something to study.
Yeah.
And that's, that I'm not trying to be awful, but I mean, he shouldn't be remembered for it because it wasn't that good. But I feel like for that era and just how strong of a heel the character was at its heights, it didn't need to be great. And, another key guy, Iron Sheik, comes to mind. So.
But, God bless Iron Sheik. Can I just say, like, people think Iron Sheik is a dick, but like some of the stuff he said today about Nikolai Volkov on Twitter, so he must have sent out 20 tweets just all saying that how much he's going to miss him. And God bless him. 70 as well, Travis. It's no age again, is it really? It's especially in modern era. It's like when people are living to late 90s, like even people are getting past 100, and it's like 70 years old. What's that?
And on the other end of the spectrum, sadly, even more. Well, the Nikolai thing, was tragic, but it's always more tragic when someone who's only not even 50, Matt.
He was 46.
46. Brian Christopher, his life has been a train wreck for years. That's well documented. Yeah. Multiple arrests, drug issues, going back to his release in 2001 was drug related. Just what can you say? The man had his demons. I'm not going to bury him for any of it. Unfortunately, hung himself last night in jail. They tried to rush him to the hospital, and wow, unbelievably sad. And you know what? Brian Christopher in Memphis, when he first came in, that laugh, that I liked it. And he was really good at that. And it's also unfortunate the last time we saw him on WWE TV was that awful Michael Cole feud with Jerry Lawler, I think, where he came back for a Raw and buried Lawler in the storyline for never being there as a dad. And the crowd didn't react, and it just wasn't a good look. He hasn't looked good for years, unfortunately, and he didn't.
Didn't Too Cool make a one-off NXT appearance?
Oh, that's right, or something
for the tag team titles.
You're right. So there you go. Correct me, Matt. But those are the last two that I can remember. But he was really good. I feel like. What can you say? Unbelievably sad.
It's like I'll be honest. I knew he'd been arrested. I knew he was in jail, but I've had a busy week, Travis, I'm going to be honest, and I didn't know he'd hung himself until I got onto Twitter this afternoon and saw that, there was an announcement to be made within the next, I think like one tweet said within the next 30 minutes that he'd passed away. And I was just like, what the fuck? Because, I grew up with Too Cool. I grew up with Brian Christopher. Yeah. And Scott Taylor in the light heavyweight division in 98, and 99, and then Too Cool, Too Much and Too Cool.
Too Much? A lot of people would forget Too Much, where Scott Taylor started dressing exactly like Brian Christopher, like the tights. Yes. Wasn't there a rumor at the time they were going to do, before Billy and Chuck, they were going to do the first homosexual gimmick with those two, but they never did it.
Yes, I think so, and thank Christ for that. That would have ended that gimmick just, before it had a chance to get started.
I was going to try to sound like a big shot when you were talking about how when you found out today. I was going to be like, well, I was on the golf course. I was actually playing miniature golf with my girlfriend, and I saw it on Twitter. I was like, oh, wow. So I was literally between a bear's legs trying to hit a golf ball and looked down at my phone. I was like, Jesus. But definitely, in all seriousness, I'm trying to lighten it up. Give us a break, guys. Our thoughts, our condolences most definitely go out to the Lawler family.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely.
And suicide is no joke.
Jerry Lawler's not been in great health either recently. So, What a blow. Yeah, and do you know what, Travis? I heard that they were telling the family to, come and say their goodbyes as quick as possible. It's just what a horrendous situation for, what was an excellent wrestler. Yeah, and I'm not, we're not going to be fucking hypocrites about this and go, he was marvellous just because, he's dead.
No, he was really underrated. Go
He was
back and
really
watch any of his
underrated.
Memphis stuff. They did acknowledge him as older son of Memphis. They actually did that, and it was great feuds with like Jamie Dundee and his dad, Bill Dundee. It was just really good and really underrated guy who, unfortunately, another guy, a case we talked about earlier with Nikolai, a case of so much talent that it was almost impossible for him to stand out unless he was in that unit with Too Cool, rejuvenated everything, changed it up, evolved his character. I remember specifically the match I watched when I was like, because you're just like me. We saw Brian Christopher come of age, an underneath guy. Because after the light heavyweight division was nothing. It was like a match with Al Snow at King of the Ring and just fucking nothing forever.
Yeah.
So it was like I felt good for the guy. It was a 10-man tag match on Raw with him, The Rock, Rikishi, and Cactus Jack against DX and the Radicals. I remember that match specifically, and the crowd was going apeshit. It was the first time I ever saw Brian Christopher in the main event. I think that might be the only time, but still, man, it was just such a shame once again. But let's pick it up. Oh, go ahead, Matt. Sorry, one more thing.
I was just going to say, also, Too Cool could have been much more, but they existed in a time of the Hardy Boys and Edge and Christian. So
exactly
that he, born too late, probably, Brian Christopher. But honestly, everyone who's listening to this, go back and watch Too Cool, watch his old stuff. Even some matches he had with Scott Putski, over the light heavyweight championship. Watch them.
His match with Taka in the finals was pretty good.
Taka Michinoku.
The DX in your house pay-per-view was good.
Exactly. Go and watch some of his stuff. Go and watch some of Nikolai's. Do not, whatever you do tonight, if you're putting the network on, please don't fucking watch Brock Lesnar's matches shit that they've just tweeted out before we started recording this.
Yeah.
Go and watch some Brian Christopher. Go and watch some Nikolai Volkov. And what can I say? Both of them gone too soon. What a shit day for professional wrestling, Travis. And you know what? People are going to say, what do you mean that happened days ago? Because we're recording this on Sunday night.
Yeah.
We're recording this literally hours after the news came in.
We're going to do our best to be that little beacon of light on a dark day and talk about something, pick up the show a little bit that's right up your alley. The first ever Pete Dunne action figure was announced this week, Matt.
Yes. Sorry, go
on. No, by all means.
Can I just say, I've been waiting for this figure for a year now, a year and a half actually. And fuck, it looks good, Travis. Like, this news brightened up a really, really bad week for me. And it came at just the right time, We don't know when it's coming out. I'm hearing it'll be out in time for Christmas. Fingers crossed. But my God, it looks brilliant. It looks absolutely brilliant. And, I feel like it's probably going to be bad news for American collectors because it's looking like it's going to be a UK exclusive like the Tyler Bate figure was last year. But, my God, it looks brilliant. It's got the hair, the snarl, the updated attire. Do you know what? This could be the greatest figure they've ever released. And that is obviously me being biased. All I need to make this better now, Travis, is a Danny Burch figure to sit right next to it on the shelf in the box. Wonderful.
Oh my gosh. Which we will also talk about a little bit here. But yeah, I was still disappointed you couldn't put the belt in his mouth. But I'm sure you were too, but that's fine.
Yeah.
It's nitpicky. I still love the Made in the USA Lex Luger figure the most.
I can't get hold of that figure. I can't. So if anyone wants to send me it, feel free. Because I've got the Narcissist one, I cannot find that USA Lex Luger. Which is a shame.
There's a really good Eddie and Hector Guerrero one I saw. I think it's a Mattel exclusive that's coming out.
I did not know.
It was like a 2-pack of specifically Hector when he came up in the early days, but it's like a throwback series. They're going even earlier to the 70s.
Has Hector Guerrero got the Gobbledygooker suit as an exclusive?
God, I hope so. But Pete Dunne isn't the only thing. Just figure talking about the UK tapings, the first couple episodes are coming out.
Yes.
Go ahead and warn everybody right now because we're not assholes. We're not dicks. Spoiler
Should we
alert.
do
Skip
it in a
ahead.
special voice, Travis? Like, spoiler alert. And can I just say, it's like, we only know night 1 as we record this because as we're talking, night 2 is being taped right now. It's like, you'll obviously have heard the results by the time you listen to this. But, we only know night 1 because they're doing night 2 right now. And do you know what, Travis? From what I've heard, and obviously I wrote a massive article about it on Wrestle Talk, cheap plug, go over there and check it out. It's shaping up just to be as good as regular NXT. It's like, I heard some criticism of it, I'll be honest. There were some matches that weren't, didn't live up to the hype. We saw the debut of Dakota Kai in the UK women's division, which, let's be honest, NXT are doing nothing with her, so why not? She beat Killer Kelly. Beat her again. Like, this woman's lost 3 out of 3 matches now in NXT UK. And she declared that she wanted the NXT UK Women's Championship, which is fair enough. We also saw the debut of Toni Storm on this show. I'm going to say debut, Travis, because this is the first properly branded NXT UK show, as well the other one was WWE United Kingdom Championship Tournament. So I feel like everything on this show is a debut. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And can I just say, it's like, people can sigh all they want, but the most exciting news to come out of this was Pete Dunne retained the now officially christened NXT United Kingdom Championship against Noam Dar. And then,
gosh. Sorry.
Whoop, 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 whoop. And then later in the evening, Danny Burch made his NXT UK debut. And I think he beat Sam Gradwell. I'd have to double check that. But
Sam Gradwell's back. Stand out from the original.
Not seen him since 2017, but he's back. And then he challenged Pete Dunne for an NXT United Kingdom Championship match. Please let that be on TakeOver. Please, WWE. I will. I've heard rumours that WWE want to extend TakeOver to 4 hours. I've heard that they want to add 8 of them. I don't care about any of it. I will sit through 4 hours of TakeOver to see this match. Please don't waste it on television.
That was that was like your bold prediction match. I remember too.
It was.
Fantasy,
And
fucking.
You have no idea how big the smile on my face was when I read this morning, even when I woke up, the results from the taping. I was just like, oh, fuck, there must be a god. All
it's
is
documented,
right with the
guys,
world.
Too. Go back a couple episodes. Matt called it if that happens. So Nostradamus over here, and I. Anything else noteworthy? Were there tag belts?
There's been no mention of anything like that. The only thing we got was Mustache Mountain. They cut up in-ring promo to say that they wanted to be front and center, of the queue for when the titles were created. But it looks like we're getting a Mustache Mountain Undisputed Era rematch for TakeOver Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say
with War Raiders thrown in, I would assume, from what we saw in NXT this week.
Do you think I don't want to see a triple threat match? I really don't, because I think that might overshadow Mustache Mountain. I'd save War Raiders for the next TakeOver in November, just before Survivor Series. But I would say, as far as NXT, it is a long time. But then you've got to build them. It's like, I don't want to see Undisputed Era lose. I don't want to see War Raiders lose.
Yeah.
I think that's got to be handled very, very carefully. As far as the NXT UK tag titles go, I'm going to say that the next set of tapings, I think they're after Brooklyn. So I'm going to say we're going to hear about them then, once Mustache Mountain have failed to recapture the normal NXT tag team titles.
Well, very nice. I for one, am extremely thankful for the Noam Dar thing. If you skipped ahead in the spoilers, I think we're done ruining things. But
well, hang on. Can I just say, Travis, there's apparently a spot there that you'll love once it gets onto TV, and it was your good friend Johnny Saint who cut apparently and I'm just quoting from the sources I read, one of the worst in-ring promos they've ever heard. It was 10 minutes long.
Oh,
They've got to edit this out, surely, or at least edit it down. It was meant to set up a match between Zach Gibson and Noam Dar. And after, it had to be redone, I think they said, because it was so bad that no one knew what was happening after Johnny Saint had finished talking.
well, unless you're a big, diehard Johnny Saint fan, that was the spoilers, and my God, we'll get to that someday and talk about that promo. Hopefully, not its 10 minutes length at that time, but my God, I didn't see that coming. By the way, Matt.
Well, what are they thinking? It's like just, I don't know, but yeah, I mean, we can probably like bring in like 2 spoilers next week. As long as we don't get shouted at too much on Twitter and in the comments or ruining it. But you had your spoiler alert.
You did.
And can I just say, Travis, before we end the news, it's like we've had some bad news today. Nikolai Volkov, Brian Christopher. But we're going to end this news section on some really, really good news. And that is that Owen Hart has finally been inducted into a Hall of Fame.
There you go. I saw that. I saw pictures from that ceremony last night. I saw D.H. Smith.
Yes.
I saw Bruce, I think.
Yes. Bruce. Martha wasn't there. Brett wasn't there. He was at UFC. He couldn't be fucked to turn up.
Wow.
Bruce was there. Keith was there. And there was another Hart brother there. I can't remember which one it was now. But Diana was there, of course. And you know what? Richly deserved. He's not going into the WWE Hall of Fame anytime soon. So do you know what? Let's take this. Let's stop all the fucking bickering between Brett and Martha, because honestly, it's getting pathetic now.
Yeah.
And do you know what? Owen Hart is in the Hall of Fame. All is right with the world today.
And wow, Brett, I didn't know that till you just said that. Wow, you can go to. I don't even have words for that. I don't care if you were worried Martha was. You two can't be over yourselves, so at least show up for that. Unbelievable. So
Yeah.
maybe I just lost some respect for Brett on air. I did. I was going to say maybe I didn't, but I just did. That's really shitty. You know what?
People can rewind this and actually pinpoint the moment you lost respect for one of the greatest champions in the history of the
Timestamp my
business.
heartbreak, guys. Right there. You know what's not shitty? You know what was shitty, I should say? Last week, you sent us to Rampage 3, but you guys, you voted again in the polls. You sent us where I'm at this week before we go to break. Where are we headed?
We're going to Rebellion 99 in Birmingham, England. And do you know what? I hope people listen to this are fan of vacuum cleaners, because my God, we've got some stuff coming up.
At least it's not as bad as Rampage 93, but stick around. We'll be back. Slam Pigs Union Smack, Rebellion 1999, right here. Don't go away.
I'm the Bruiserweight Pete Dunne, and you're listening to the Union Smack podcast.
We are back, Slam Pigs Union Smack, right here at Biggie TMD. Matt, my friend, let's bring out the Maniac. Let's go back to a time where everyone was a Maniac, the Attitude Era. Everyone sent us back, I should say, before we went to break, in the poll this week to Rebellion 1999, in October of 99, right before, on the cusp of Russo and Ferrara leaving, or right after, for WCW. Mm-hmm. There was a big shakeup in the company at the time. But business was red hot, one of the highest ever, for the company in the history at this time. It was on fire.
It was on fire. It was. And when we did these shows, Travis, when we first did them, we got a lot of stick from some people. One person in particular, who shall remain nameless, for criticising like the Attitude Era, etc. There's some stuff on this show regardless of how hot business was, it really brings to light how stupid some of the Attitude Era decisions were.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I'm sure we're going to get criticised for this, but yeah, going back to your original point, business was on fire. You had The Rock, Triple H in the main event. You had Stone Cold Steve Austin, who wasn't on this show because I believe it, even though it did this take place before he got hit by the car, etc.
Yes, this took place like a month before that angle went on to, but his neck was fucked at this time.
Yeah, he he was done in professional wrestling for a while. So no wonder he wasn't on this show.
For anyone, and I know, like you said, there's a ton of you guys, but your Attitude aficionados, we should say, your Attitude Era. The timeline wise, this is right when the British Bulldog first came back and was in the title picture for like a month. It's literally right at that time between Raw and all that stuff.
Yeah, it is. I'm just looking at my notes now, Travis. Dear God, there were some clangers on this card. But first off, introduction. The intro to this, you tweeted me to say this could be the best introduction we've ever reviewed. And I turned it on, very intrigued, because I haven't seen this since it went out in 1999. So it's been 19 years. It's brilliant. Like, the way they start off with the posh British voice, Mr. Helmsley. Kick some bum. It's brilliant. Like, if you don't want to watch this pay-per-view, from what you hear from this review, just watch the first 2 minutes. Watch the intro. Like, it'll brighten up your day.
And within like 30 seconds, the joke was right from the calm little British man intro. It goes to like Attitude Era, like fireworks, explosions. Fucking,
yes,
it's great. I love it. I don't know. I just really liked it, and I feel like this specific intro, we saw a lot of stock footage reused of this for like Armageddon the same year, and varies with specifically like shots of Kane with the explosions behind him. I feel like we've seen that thrown in a lot of vignettes for Kane over the years.
Yes, yeah. I mean, they reuse stock footage. Let's be honest. It's all about money, though, isn't it? Like, some things never change. But then we cut in, and again, Travis, pet hate, no real set. It's just the Raw set again. Just give us a massive fucking R at the top of the aisle. It doesn't matter. Just make it look like you've done. You've made an effort.
Just give us a letter. Give us something. Show us. Just put a big letter out there. I don't give a. You did it for the DX pay-per-view. You just put a big X out there, and it worked.
Honestly, I can't abide laziness. I've got a massive gripe. Honestly, like, it pisses me off. Would it have really hurt you? Just to, you shipped an entire set across the fucking sea when you could have just had an R commission. Didn't even have to be a 3D R, Travis. Just a scaffolding R with some lights around it. That would have done.
Just hire 4 British fucking independent carpenters or something to build it.
There you go. And hang a British fucking flag either side of it.
Because God knows you can't help yourselves. You're in England. Well, we got to put the flag there so they know where we're at. God.
Where's the telephone box and taxi?
Exactly. Where's the British car and the telephone booth? Yeah, exactly. And I was going to say, let's get to our other biggest pet peeve. We talk about the set, but you dove right in and already did it for me. So yeah, I agree. Just a raw set, lazy. Just give us a plywood R out there with Christmas lights on it at this point.
And that's one of my biggest gripes about like today's product, Travis. Just the same set every week. Pay-per-view and Raw and SmackDown. It's just there. And do you remember the days when sometimes the staging and the setting used to fucking make a pay-per-view?
Yeah.
If the pay-per-view was shit, do you know what? And I'm not ashamed to say this. I'm a wrestling fan of, 29 years this year. Yes, I started watching when I was 3. And fuck you all critics who say you can't remember what you went when you were 3. I remember. I started watching it when I was 3.
You're such a hard ass this week. I just want to say, you're just like, what? Fuck you if you say you can't remember. I do.
Yeah. Fuck all of you. I've got some things to get off my chest. I've got some anger to get out this week, Travis.
I love it.
Strap in.
The maniac.
I watched some pay-per-views, in late 90s, early 2000s, just for the set alone. Like, I knew some of them would be crap. I knew some of them would be awful. But you tuned in to see what the set was going to be like.
You know what?
And the set made the show.
Immediately comes to my mind is Backlash with the swinging axes.
Yes. Yes, and at any moment, if somebody in the back had got that wrong, one of the Hardy Boys would have been decapitated. That is what I fucking want from the present day product. Get your thumbs out your asses and put more of an effort in.
Or Nydia loses a breast implant, or it pokes something. Yeah. Somehow we got to Nydia's breast implants off of a state, but that's okay. It's Union Smack. Slam pigs being the key word, by the way. We're not always white collar nice guys, huh? You're seeing that this week. I love it. I love Maniac Matt.
Sometimes we are, but other times, fuck a lot of you. And we know you love us for it.
I love that the Maniac is specifically in the house this week. It's kind of like Cactus Jack and Dude Love with you. It's like this week I got Cactus. I'm excited because I was excited about when I saw this on paper what the opening match was, because I still feel like one of the most under-talked about, underrated matches of all time in SummerSlam history, because SummerSlam's coming up, is D'Lo Brown and Jeff Jarrett from '99. It opened that show. That was a really good match. There was a turn with Mark. I still really enjoy that match for some reason. I always have. D'Lo was so over in that match, and D'Lo was really over in this. But it was Jeff Jarrett and D'Lo Brown obviously opening up is what I'm getting at. But carbon copy of that match, specific moves in that match, I remember it phoned in, I want to say, maybe, but it was basically the same exact match, just with a different finish and a shorter amount of time for them to get their stuff in. I'm not saying that's bad, but I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. But British pay-per-view, isn't it? It's like, how many little limeys would have watched SummerSlam? All of us, Vince. Dickhead. But yeah, give us the same match. Sometimes with these UK shows, Travis, you got a big feeling that they weren't trying as hard. You know, had this been an American pay-per-view, then it'd have been a different match completely, is what they put on at SummerSlam. But it's like, Vince wants to think we're fucking idiots, and so just give us the same match. But I will say, in their defence, apart from the cut, why have a coin toss? I don't remember a coin toss on Superstars, Wrestling Challenge, Raw, SmackDown. I don't ever remember a coin toss deciding which championship would be on the line on any American show. You can correct me.
One fucking coin toss probably in the history of 90s WWF before I saw this was who would face Yokozuna first at WrestleMania, Lex or Brett, with the match order.
Do you know what? You're right. But this is worse, because this is to decide what title you're going to put on the line. It doesn't matter. We know. Like, we're not stupid, right? It's 1999. The Attitude Era is arguably sort of burning itself out. It would last, another year-ish before it burned itself out completely.
Until the invasion.
We're not... Exactly. The shows before this, we have had 2 title changes and possibly 3. Bulldog at SummerSlam 92, Shawn Michaels at one night only in 97. I think there was maybe a tag title change. We know, the point is, we know whatever title's on the line, it doesn't matter, it's not changing hands, right? So why go to all this fucking drama of what title's going to be on the line? It doesn't matter. We know whoever's title is on the line, they're going over. And, it might sound a bit pessimistic, but that's the way it was. No major titles are changing hands on, a B-level pay-per-view and in Britain. Does not bode well for title changes at all.
That, or you do how many pay-per-views in England a year? What, maybe 2?
At this point, it was 2, yeah.
Why not just make it for the European title? Have D'Lo retain on a DQ. Jeff Jarrett does heel things throughout this entire show. We're going to talk about Jeff Jarrett a lot. Why not just have him use a goddamn vacuum cleaner like he loved to come out with? And people are probably wondering why the thumbnail is what it is. We'll get there in a second. And just hit D'Lo with it. But the reason is, this was taking place, Matt, right at the time before Jeff Jarrett went to WCW, like we said. A send-off angle, unfortunately, was with China and this men versus women thing they did at the time, which I have mixed thoughts about it. At the time, I absolutely hated it as a fan at the time, because I wanted guys like Jericho to get, he would actually take it off China. I didn't like it. I wasn't a big China fan ever. But that's the angle that this Jeff Jarrett, he came out with Miss Kitty in this, who eventually would turn on Jeff Jarrett and side with China by the end of the feud. But this was the springboard time for that angle, the catalyst, all this stuff. And What did you think of the Good Housekeeping match in general? Just this run, brother, with Jarrett and China.
I mean, at the time, I was 13 years old. It was a novelty. It was a novelty to see a man versus a woman in WWF. It was somewhat of a novelty to see like a good housekeeping match, but not that much of a novelty because we already had the hardcore division. You already had really good hardcore scraps like Al Snow and was it Hardcore Holly at St. Valentine's Day Massacre in your house?
Yeah, in the Mississippi River.
Exactly. That's the one, if you ever asked me, name one hardcore match, that would be the one.
That or when Crash Holly was at like that amusement park with the headbangers or something.
SmackDown in 2000, I think it was.
That
was good. That was really good. But back to the point, Travis, it's like a sort of novelty, but then you've got the hardcore division, especially for that novelty. So it didn't really have the desired effect WWF thought it would have. Looking back on it now as an adult, it was. You might argue with me, Travis, and that's fine. You can disagree. But to me, in my eyes, this was solely to diminish Jeff Jarrett before he went elsewhere. Like
probably
they wrung him dry.
It was also because of how her good political standing at this time with the company backstage and the higher-ups was probably also to promote China, because I know she had, a comic book. She was getting a book coming out. So they were she was getting roles on television shows at this time, trying to make her, I think this, ultimately, looking back, hindsight's 2020, I think it backfired because specifically by the time this ended, and China lost the belt to Jericho, that crowd turned on China, 100%. 100%.
It did.
Believability is still a key factor in professional wrestling. I don't care if we're talking the Bruno era, the fucking Attitude Era. Now, believability has to come into play at some time. You know what I mean? And I get it. Yeah, women are equal.
It does. And there's not enough believability.
But yeah, match result. Official match result, man.
The official match result was Jeff Jarrett wins, retains the title. There's a shock in England. And do you know what, Travis? I never thought I'd say these words on the podcast. Jeff Jarrett wins with a well-placed vacuum cleaner shot.
Yep. It happened.
My God. And can I just say, like, before this, and I don't know whether she was a plant in the audience before this match, but the poor woman that he dragged out of, one of the first 5 rows, he made her do some hoovering or vacuum cleaning. I think, England and American difference. And then put her in the figure 4. Now, if she was a plant, she took that figure 4 very badly.
That's true. This is a time where they still actually took actual fans out of the crowd, too. So it could have actually been a fan.
It could have been a fan.
Did you notice the guy, like, he was like a row behind her, looked almost exactly like Hector Guerrero? Did you notice that?
I did not notice that. I did see a few fans in the audience, though, that did look like Hector Guerrero, unnervingly. One with many feathers.
Maybe it's just the whole Guerrero family, because there's like 100 of them. Who knows? They were just there in England for some reason.
They're all there in, you got Hector Guerrero Jr., Hector Guerrero Sr., and so on.
And you know what? They took us from a match that for, is whatever, as Attitude Era as the finish was. It was pretty decent. Where did that take us to in match number 2, man?
That took us to the thriller of the night, Travis. Godfather versus Gangrel. And can I just say, the Godfather gimmick was fine. I mean, it was Charles Wright's best gimmick, I'd have said. Like Papa Shango, it was very early 90s. Karma was... Do you know what? Now I say this. Almost all of his gimmicks were very of their own era. It's like Papa Shango fitted very much in the cartoon character era. Karma fitted very much in that wasteland of 95, 96 era,
Yeah.
And the Godfather fitted perfectly in the Attitude Era. So I think Charles Wright made a lot of money from being in the right place at the right time.
I was in the right place. However that song is. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah. I think the stars
Did they
aligned right for his career.
did they really announce the Godfather from the red light district? And had they been
Yeah,
doing that throughout his career?
they always
And I
did
just
that. Yeah.
never took notice.
Yep. They always did that with The Godfather.
How many fucking Godfather matches have I watched over the years, and I've never once heard them say the red light district?
I
That's
didn't know he
odd.
had more than 2 matches, honestly. No, he's had a ton of matches. I'm just always distracted, obviously, by the train of women, which were here. Another case, I always liked it, I will say, when, like, he wouldn't offer his opponent the host. He'd be like, nah, man, you can't have it. You're too weird. He did that with Gangrel. He wouldn't even offer him.
Yeah, he gave them to the much more normal looking Tim White instead.
And this was also the
God.
zany Tim White era, and here's a case of it again by the end of this match. The match was a house show match at its full. It was nothing. The
Yeah.
finish was flat. It was just get your shit in and get out of there, basically.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. There was nothing special about it. The only thing I did notice, Travis, and I don't know why I've noticed this. Maybe it's because the match was so fucking. It was boring. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Gangrel's tights. He had vampire written across the back of them.
I noticed that. Was that a one-time thing? Is that to remind people he's a vampire? Because I'm pretty sure him covered in blood out his mouth fucking gave it away. I'm just saying.
Exactly. It's like I've never noticed that before. It's like, did he have these specially commissioned for this one event? Like this is my big shot. I'm getting one-on-one match against the Godfather. You know, I'm going to get special trunks commissioned. It looked wrong. It looked wrong.
But people in England don't understand he's a vampire. Better put it on there just to be safe. Official result, the Godfather winning with a Death Valley driver, which was always called the Pimp Drop. By the way, we didn't even mention the commentary team, Jim Ross and Michael P.S. Hayes, who did a pretty decent job, I'll say. I always thought they were good. But I always thought it was funny when Jim Ross said, hit him with a Pimp Drop. Just hilarious coming from Jim Ross. That was it. That was the finish.
And obviously Tim White got some sloppy hoe action. Yeah.
Yep. Pimp Drop, sloppy hoe action. Please let's move the train along. What was up next, Rebel? Was this the first of many Davey Boy appearances?
Oh my God.
Holy shit. Let's set the stage. Vince McMahon, Shane McMahon, backstage, UK pay-per-view. We have reviewed so many of these, I feel like, by now, that had Davey Boy Smith. And he was always treated to a hero's welcome. But this was when he first came back. And it, unfortunately, not to, harp on too much negative, his back was gone. His drug habits were out of control. He's a different Davey Boy. Not the same guy. But, man, did they not even give a fuck about making him look like a dumb shit in this. He storms into the office repeating, I feel like the same line, where's my title shot? 72 times. That's all he said, I feel like.
Smacked off his tits as well. Let's be honest, I don't know, his body was there, where his mind was, fuck knows. It's embarrassing. Honestly, I was embarrassed for him watching this. And, let's be honest, sorry. That was a national hero, as much as Hector Guerrero was a national hero in Mexico and, Luger was a national hero to America in 93. This man went from the top to, the very, very bottom here.
He was England's Hogan in the early 90s. Flat out. No comparison.
Yeah, he was.
And shame on WWE. I get it. You wanted to give the guy a break and help him out and give him a payday. Shame on them for putting him on TV and not noticing the condition this guy was in. I know he worked a match later. We'll get to it. But my God, how could they not know this guy needed help? Let's be real.
Yeah.
You could see it in his eyes.
In his eyes, in his voice. He garbled these lines. Honestly, I couldn't recite to you one of the lines that he said in this whole piece of shit. With Vince, Shane, and Stephanie. It was just it's like listening to the gobbledygook on heroin. It was awful.
There was one great moment, though. Davey Boy Smith, flustered, frustrated, and a bit of rage, picks up a random huge steel barrel trash can and launches it and knocks out Stephanie McMahon. So some good came out of it.
Yes, even though... the more they showed this footage, and believe us, ladies and gentlemen, they showed this footage.
Oh, yeah.
X amount of times.
Strap in.
And every time they showed it, it got more ludicrous because every time you could see the trash can missed her, or at least where she was standing, a good 5-6 feet. Like, it hit the other side of the locker. And then the camera pans to her laying on the floor like she's just been smashed in the face by Mike Tyson.
And they should have zoomed back real quick to Davy Boy giving that, like, Kevin McAllister from Home Alone, like, uh-oh, like, little look. And then fade to black.
Yeah.
But people, and I know you got someone in the comments or whatever is going to be like, well, they wanted him to get booed in his home country. They had to make him. No, that they were booking him like this on Raw too, like an idiot. He was promised a title match. That's where this all sprung from. And Triple H just looked at him in a promo and said, "I lied." And then it's just egg on your face again, Davey. And he had egg on his face again right here. Like, uh-oh, what have I done?
They made him look like a fucking dunce, didn't they? It's like,
yeah,
he was getting played all over the shop, and coked up British Bulldog could not see it. And what, do you know what? And I hate it, Travis. I hate seeing, Bulldog like this or shows with him on like this, because the potential, like the wasted potential from early 90s to late 90s, it stands out, like a massive dick in a crowd of lesbians. It just...
Love the reference. Also, it's kind of like not as big a fall from grace as fast or noticeable, but like Scott Steiner was a completely different guy in the early 90s and years of certain abuse for substances, and that's what it led to. But Davey was way worse. This may be the worst case of a fall from grace like that ever in such a short period of time. Maybe Jake Roberts or Tony Atlas, but man, it's really rough to go. But knowing now, of course, that he passed away a couple years after, it's really rough to watch some of this. Not gonna lie.
It is. And can I just say a quick shout forward to British wrestling. His son, Davey Boy Smith Jr., was on British telly last night, which, of course, for people watching, will be Saturday just gone, on World of Sport, which debuted Saturday night. And you know what, Travis? It wasn't half bad. He fought Will Ospreay in a singles contest. Very, very good. And he looked eerily like his father did at Rebellion 99. And obviously, I'm not saying he's on heroin or he's smacked off his tits anyway. But
how about he looked like his father did in WCW 98, a year before the fall, I guess.
There you go, yes.
Right before he fell in the trap.
British Bulldog Jr. So
there you go. Very nice.
There you go.
Very nice. Did that take us to the women's match next, man?
No. Sadly not. That took us to Val Venus and Mark Henry. What the fuck was that Val Venus promo at the beginning?
Awful.
So not only was it every promo he'd ever done, but, from what I took away from it, it was, I've got a big dick, all the women want to fuck me. Let's get on with the match. That was every Val Venus promo ever.
Yeah. Just a different place they are. Let's tie in a location joke or something like that.
Yes. And you know what? More for me, because I didn't know who he was fighting on this card. I didn't watch this on the network. I watched it on DVD because I've got a ridiculously stupid big DVD collection, mostly wrestling. And all it would have took was for me to pick up the case, Travis, and look at the back. But I didn't. And then my will died when Mark Henry stepped out on stage.
It's sexual, baby. And then Matt's just, You know what? I gotta agree. This whole thing did nothing for me. I don't have a lot to say other than it was another goddamn house show match, really.
It is. And you know what? If Mark Henry is sexual chocolate, then Hector Guerrero is tantalizing tacos or erotic enchiladas. There was nothing sexual about this man at all. He was just a big, strong oaf. And you know what? Mark Henry has been praised. I've noticed this since he retired and was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Like, he wasn't that bad. He was awful. I'm sorry. You can come at me on Twitter if you like, and I'll tell you all to fuck off. But Mark Henry was terrible in the ring for 98% of his career. He had moments. I don't think the good was enough to outweigh the bad with Mark Henry.
Yep. I 100% co-sign that and agree. Like I would say maybe his best years in ring or whatever was like 2011 and 2012, his world heavyweight title run. That was probably his best. He
Yes.
had psychology down. He was knocking it out of the park, and I love the turn on John Cena. That was great.
And I loved the match against Randy Orton at Night of Champions 2011. That was a brilliant match. What maybe the only brilliant, like possibly solid 4-star match Mark Henry's ever had. But then would that have happened if it hadn't been Randy Orton? Probably not.
I'm gonna segue this as boring as the match was. Official match result, Matt.
Val Venus wins with the money shot, and don't bother watching it. Honestly, don't. It's terrible. Like, I'd expect to see this if I went to a 3.5-hour house show.
Yep, and the crowd was right along with us, not really into any of this. And for an English crowd at the time, they were usually, I mean, we just reviewed them popping for Kamala and Doink last week, but this was how boring this was, I feel like, just everything about it.
Yeah, it was. Do you know what? Let's move.
Did it get any better after this?
Because it didn't get any better, because next we got the Women's Championship match.
If you want to call it a match, I mean, yeah. Who was the competitors, Matt?
The clusterfuck included Trashbag Tory, Luna. Oh, what the? Let's get on to that in a minute. Jacqueline and Ivory.
Babyface, Luna, by the way, slapping hands with the fans, smiling. Apollo Crews would be so proud. It was weird to see her like that. Just random. I don't give a fuck. It's a house show to me, Luna. That's what this was.
What did she look like? It's like, to me, Luna Vachon isn't, 1999 Luna Vachon. The classic Luna Vachon to me is the Luna Vachon in leather with Bam Bam Bigelow. Like, that will always be Luna.
That, or me. Like, where she Glow when she was a top name in Glow, or with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 9. That look with Bam Bam too. Yeah, that's Luna. Yeah. I'll even take the stuff with Goldust over this. Over this. No. I mean, over smiling. Hey, vote for me, Luna. That was weird.
I honestly think she shouldn't have been wrestling at this time. It's like she was obviously on so much of what Davey Boy was taking that there's not enough words to describe how bad she looked.
Yeah,
like disgusting.
And on the other end of that, two women who completely, I feel like, overlooked and underutilized. Two recent Hall of Fame inductees, Ivory and Jacqueline. Ivory, of course, I always felt like was a great women's champ, but she never got a chance to really showcase everything because they didn't give the women any time for years. No. Let's be honest. No real chance to show what you got if you don't have time to do it. And we've said our piece on Jacqueline. Nothing's changed in my opinion on Jacqueline. If she be, now currently she'd be one of the top women in the world, tough as nails, blah blah blah. The match was what? Not even 4 minutes, man.
No, I didn't time it, but I wouldn't have thought so. And it was bad. Nothing happened.
Sloppy.
It was bleh. Ivory hit Jacqueline with the belt for the win, and there were two other women that didn't even bother to break up the fall. That's how much none of them wanted to be there. Luna shouldn't have been wrestling. Jacqueline and Ivory should have had this as a one-on-one, and Tori you can just take out with the trash. So, pointless match. Awful.
Is this where we segue back into the Jeff Jarrett angle throughout the show, I feel like?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
This is where we segue back into the British Bulldog.
There you go.
Who's with Michael Cole backstage. And again, I couldn't get one line down. Honestly. He messed it up so badly that he must have got 5 words in and then had to go back and redo them. Because he
had to stop, he had to do a couple lines, and then red lights on again. Yeah. He still couldn't get it.
Awful. It's like, he was so... And if you go back and watch this, it's in his eyes, Travis, Bulldog. He's so far gone,
Covered in sweat, by the way. Just want to point that out.
He'd done nothing. Like, he was so far gone that, honestly, he should have been forcibly committed to rehab.
I agree. Totally. Just like Scott Hall in WCW. How could you not see that on camera? The guy needed help.
There you go. And why wasn't he helped? He wasn't making them any money by then. He wasn't making them any money anywhere in the world. And, as unlikely as it is that his son would listen to this podcast or any of his family, British Bulldog was making nobody any money in 1999. No
Not
one
in
wanted to see
jeans.
it.
Not in fucking jeans he was. I don't know. I still don't get that. I know they'd like to edge their characters, but you literally took. I feel like all he had left at that time were his colorful tights. That's all he had left anyway, and you took the last thing. I don't know. I never got that decision to this day. One of the worst decisions I've ever made as far as a guy's attire booking wise.
Yep. Entrance music didn't help either. It was just a ragtag of bullshit.
Big Boss Man's theme, pretty much, is what it was. Just a different like style riff.
Yeah, and had a bit of a dog bark at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Awful. Nothing good about Attitude Era Bulldog. Nothing.
Nope. It's like WWF raped the British Bulldog of everything attractive about him and left him this drugged up, burnt out husk of a wrestler who meant nothing to anyone.
The highlight of his Attitude Era career, he didn't even do it. He took that sliding people's elbow in Dress Shoes by The Rock, which is still my favorite people's elbow, but Davey Boy is the one that took that, and we'll see the highlight of that later on the show when we get to the main event. Speaking of the show, where did that take us next, Matt?
That took us to a decent match between Road Dogg and Chris Jericho.
Yeah. You know what? Call me crazy. And I've talked a lot about Billy Gunn recently. Shout out to our buddy V at his channel. That dropped last week. Thank you again, V, for having me on the collab Billy Gunn video. But this may be the Road Dogg's best match I've ever seen him have. It's no like Okada Omega, but my God, this was way better than I thought it had any right to be with Road Dogg in it. And that's credit to Chris Jericho. Totally.
Oh, yeah, of course. And let's remind people that this is Chris Jericho with Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
If anyone ever forgot that.
Silver shiny Jericho vest, Mr. Hughes.
A remarkably thinner Mr. Hughes. It's like he hit the gym hard after everyone stopped booking him in the mid-90s. Yeah. Mr. Hughes is like, he lost a lot of weight and put on a lot of muscle. And you know what? Had to look twice to make sure it was the same man, even though I knew it was.
To be honest, I never hated this mystery. I felt like that was the best they could do to give him a Ralphus type, but a more serious Ralphus. Even when remember this time Jericho was doing crazy shit like scouting Howard Finkel to be like his street team and his manager. And I call me crazy, come at me. I didn't hate it to this because Jericho was that fucking entertaining with anything you gave him to me.
Yeah. He was. The match wasn't perfect, Travis. But then again, it was the best we could have hoped for on the night. Little sloppy in the middle, some really good reversals. Ref bump. Of course, there was a ref bump. It was the Attitude Era.
Exactly.
Even Mr. Hughes got involved. And do you know what? I didn't even hate that. I mean, we could probably sit here and go on and on about some hideous Mr. Hughes angles in the early 90s when they paired him with Giant Gonzalez, etc.
Yeah.
But do you know what? He was effective here.
Did the job that he was booked to do, in my opinion. He wasn't supposed to be taken as a serious enforce. It was supposed to be like a parody because it God forbid they use a racial thing to get something overcome. But I feel like this is when they do that right. This is an odd couple gimmick. That's what I'm getting at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's okay.
And it worked well for the time it lasted.
And, shout out to the Road Dogg again. I know he sucks at booking SmackDown or Raw or whatever now, but I vividly remember, some good chain wrestling in this. But there was, a counter to, a pump handle slam or something I vividly remember in this. I was really surprised at Road Dogg's work rate in this, especially on a UK show, so who knew? He had it in him.
Look,
see what it is? He got the good cocaine. He bought it first, and Davey had to get the mediocre that day.
Davey got the bad cut.
And besides the main event, I'll flat out say it. And I enjoyed the tag match for what it was. So we needed more time, but maybe the match of the night right here.
Yes, I agree. Honestly, I've got... well, we'll see, but I've not got that much great to say about the main event. Yeah, I agree. The only thing I would criticise with this is the ending. Ref went down. Road Dogg kicked out of a Mr. Hughes chair shot, but then lost to a low blow. It's like, should that not have been the other way around? Should it not have been a Mr. T? Mr. T, sorry. That's me being racist now. Sorry.
Okay.
Fuck. Should that not have been a Mr. Hughes low blow?
I'm not editing that out, by the way, Matt, so don't get cocky. No, I'm just kidding. You know what? They both have Mister in their names, so come at us, guys. Don't be dicks.
Yes,
Remember?
they do.
Hashtag- Um,
I'm not being a dick for the fucking sake of it. If anyone just wants to have a pop, but yeah, it should have been a Mr. Hughes low blow followed by a Jericho chair shot for the win. You know, it was a little bit ass about face.
it was backwards a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Depends on your outlook, though. Would you be more detrimental to getting your penis hit, or I don't know. Where am I going with that? Where did that take us to, Matt?
That took us to a weird little vignette of a line of rough British people waiting outside of Virgin Records to meet The Rock, and then it suddenly turned into an episode of, you know, Police Cam. I don't know if you've got a show like that over there where they like interview policemen about random crimes that have happened.
Yeah.
All these people, Rocky, and this one random policeman saying, "I'm very worried about security." Right, thanks for that. And then back to the arena.
These rowdy middle-aged women in this line who have pictures of Big Show when he was in WCW. You remember that lady? She was like stalker levels of fan of Big Show.
Yes.
Wow, you like the Big Show that much, lady? God damn. Who was a heel too at the time, so she liked her some Big Show in special ways.
She did.
And I hope you guys like hearing Virgin Records because they're going to keep going back to this. I feel like 3 more times after matches.
Yes.
They go back to the Rock.
It's not the last we're going to hear of it.
Yeah.
I just one fucking random policeman. Just right.
Well, you know why they showed this so much? Because it was from London. It was directly from London, is that Virgin store or whatever, and they felt like big shotty. You know, they had come from the bowels of Rampage '93. Where was that at again last week? Did that take place at?
Sheffield last week, and we were in Birmingham this week.
Need I say more? So why not show that you're in London for once? Keep showing that shit off. I get it.
Yeah. But then I understand it because they're at the top of the show. They'd already hyped that they were returning to the UK for Insurrection in London in April. Yeah. So it's like, keep the London thing going.
Which we have reviewed, I'm pretty sure, right?
We have reviewed that, yes. I mean, can I just say that I'm in no hurry to put Insurrection 2001 up as an option for people to vote on yet, because I don't quite think we've recovered from doing 3 insurrections in a row.
Yeah, it gets brutal after a while. Speaking of reviews, where did this one take us to next after visiting Virgin Records?
This took us to China versus Jeff Jarrett, which was hyped earlier in the night after China came down to help said woman in the crowd. Yep. Travis, you know, I'll let you do this one because...
I mean, I do have some things to say about it. Okay, 3-minute match, first of all. It felt like, oh, China's work rate for one. My God, she's always like had a smile on her face when she was getting hit or anything. That's bothered me. I just, ugh. But besides that, this is like a 3-minute match again because, and I popped for this because I didn't see it coming, but it made sense tying into the storyline with Triple H, so maybe that's why I liked it. Finally, you made him look like a decent, credible, vicious heel. Davey Boy Smith comes out and beats up Triple H's woman, hits China with a stiff-ass clothesline. Let me tell you guys, he was pretty stiff with China. This, I feel like. I don't know if it's just me, but he hit the Davey Boy Power Slam flush. It was nice. I liked that part of it. Because it made sense for the storyline, because they were still acknowledging that, you know, she was his valet or woman or whatever, Triple H, even though she was kind of a baby. This was also a weird time with those two. They kind of split them up, but never did the split. They kind of just went their separate ways, and they never acknowledged those two again. And that China would go to do babyface things, you know, years so later.
Yeah.
But man, oh man, I wonder if he got chewed out by Triple H or anything back. Probably not. Davey probably would have kicked his ass if he probably said it.
Do you know what? Even if he did get chewed out by Triple H, can you even imagine him knowing what he's, you know?
No.
Being had to go.
He probably thought he's getting a pat on the back. He's probably thought it was about, oh, well, thanks. I'm glad you liked it.
Like, you beat up my woman, I'm going to kick your ass. Oh, yeah.
Cheers, we're doing a private right now? Oh, yeah. He didn't know where he was.
I think this match was just like purely to hype a bit of China versus Jeff Jarrett, and obviously to hype a bit of heel Bulldog. I can't think of anything else this was for, Travis.
It's one of the cases that they did all the time in the Attitude Era, which, quite frankly, needs to come back, but they just did it too much back then. This needs to happen on Raw now. Take any kind of storyline and continuously flow it through a show to keep giving you incentive to keep tuning in, and not, well, it's just going to be a tag match, Teddy Long style, or just Elias and whoever again for the millionth time. You know what I mean? Have some sort of and they did that so brilliantly at times in the Attitude Era, but then they just started doing it too much. And you had 2 on 1 show in this, but this all kind of tied it together. So maybe that's also why I kind of like it. But I've seen worse tie-ins, so I didn't hate this maybe as much as everyone thinks I would have hated this, but it was okay.
I mean, it did a job. Let's say that. And Jeff Jarrett, in my opinion, a lot of people have got a lot of opinions about Jeff Jarrett. I know you have from his WCW days. I genuinely believe Jeff Jarrett could be one of the most underrated wrestlers ever.
I agree. And I'm always critical when he's in that top guy role that they did in WCW and TNA. For me, always a standout intercontinental competitor like he was on this, and that's why I really enjoyed it too. And this was like perfect Jeff Jarrett heel for me. You know what I mean? That he was great in that upper mid card heel, but never a top guy, and that was always my one issue with Jarrett. You know,
I think if they'd have taken time with Jeff Jarrett and built him the right way, he could have been a top guy, but he was always associated with the mid card, and no one really did anything to change that opinion. And I think when he got to WCW, like, people just saw him as an intercontinental title guy who was then suddenly shoved into the main event and, you know, into the spotlight without deserving it.
Well, that, and I got to be honest, man, it's hard. It probably would have taken a lot more work for somebody like me, especially, who saw him come from that terrible male stripper attire. And you think I'm laughing and joking. That attire is some of the worst ever, too. And I think that it's really hard to take him serious with that attire. And so to transition to the don't piss me off Jeff Jarrett. Now he's a tough guy. That took a lot more work than what they actually put into it. And I think maybe that's why it didn't get over the top for me, too. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, like, my Jeff Jarrett is the male stripper. 93, 94, 95 Jeff Jarrett.
I just watched. Go back, guys. Great fucking match. One of the best Intercontinental matches ever is Jeff Jarrett and Shawn Michaels from In Your House, too. I just watched that, like, last week. Great.
And do you know what? Some of his matches with the 1, 2, 3 kids, brilliant. You know, Jeff Jarrett had some really, really good mid-card matches. And possibly, in my opinion, the best theme tune ever. Sorry, but I've sat when I'm on my own.
Wait, the Attitude Era one on this show, or not?
No. Tennessee Swing.
There you go.
90s. Do you know what? That is. I love that theme tune.
Well, they heard it on the intro anyway this week, so there you go.
There you go. And do you know what? You won't be able to get enough of it. It'll be stuck in your head, and then you'll be going back on YouTube and listening to it. And I suggest you do, because it's brilliant.
Well, besides that, speaking of being stuck in your head, and sometimes I feel like I say speaking of too much. I need to work on that in the future. Anyway, well, I'm completely lost now. Where did that take us to next, Matt?
That took us to Big Show versus Kane. Yes,
Oh,
they really did give us this.
God, I forgot about this.
They tried to make it appealing by saying it was no disqualification, even though there was nothing to warrant the rule in it. There was little hardcore action. You know, the only thing that I took from this match, Big Show did a drop kick that was as good as any I've seen Hector Guerrero do.
That was the one standout from this first of 7,327 matches I feel like these two guys have had over the years in that company. I feel like, that he would bust that drop kick out in WCW a lot too, I remember.
Yeah. Well done, Big Show. Hecky would be proud.
He really would. He would earn that chicken suit that night to wear. Or turkey suit, whatever it was. He would let it borrow it. He would be so proud. The match was any Kane and Big Show match, though, guys. For me, at least, Matt, like, you said your piece, but you might feel different. But for me, just as boring as Val Venus and Mark Henry on this card.
Yeah. It's massive piss break. And maybe 5 minutes into this, the 40-a-day smoking habit took its toll on Big Show. He looked like he'd just run a 26-mile marathon.
He really did.
It's horrendous. And you know what the worst thing about this was? The most insulting thing about this match is not... It went for too long, and ended on a simple body slam.
Yep.
Kane pinned the Big Show with a body slam in a what the fuck have I just sat and watched match.
This was obviously also right before the stuff with Big Show's dad and the Big Show, which would lead the Big Show winning the world title a month later at Survivor Series. And this was also right after the tag team with The Undertaker, who I know is near and dear to your heart because of your book. That tag team they had for the summer of '99, which it was okay, but this was also, Big Show talks about time in his career too, where he wasn't liked backstage a lot. Undertaker hated him, and that tag team with Taker is really what got his ass into gear and not thinking he's a big shot coming in. So this is right after he was on his own again. Maybe there were still some political issues at the time, but who knows? I know Big Show not a happy camper at this time in his career, and I know Jericho also. We talked about another guy at this time who was miserable in his first year or so in the company. So a lot of guys working on the show. But see, a guy like Jericho is such a professional. I couldn't tell he wasn't happy backstage. He acted like he wanted to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean, and I'm gonna say like a 1999 WWF locker room. I can't see there's going to be a lot of people happy back there. Like, we've heard of Big Show, Jericho not being happy, but I'm sure there were more, Travis, you know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's any company in there, but specifically just like guys that came from WCW at that time just hated it at first, even though they thought it was a problem. Like the Radicals even, a year after, a couple months after this, not even, they've all admitted when they first came in, they all hated it the first year in. Just that transition. I can imagine maybe Samoa Joe felt that first year, even though it's different now with developmental and stuff and how guys are actually treated some fucking respect, God forbid, when they come in. I feel like a guy like Davey, who we've talked about all show long, if that would have, now modern day, if he would have been struggling with the demons, at least that developmental system's there, that rehab system's there. It's not 99 anymore. It's not the fucking Wild West anymore. Davey could have gotten to the right hands. It hadn't happened nowadays. I feel like they would have done the right thing. They put guys through rehab now. They try because of all the media scandals. They don't want any bad press, so they take guys that haven't even worked there in 20 years and send them to rehab.
Yeah, I agree. I like WWE's policy now that they will pay for former talent. Doesn't matter how long ago they worked for them to enter rehab. Can I just say though, it did fail Brian Christopher, obviously. That's
touchy because you can't excuse someone for repeatedly breaking the law. That's on their, you know what I mean? That they can. And I don't do this a lot, but in WWE's offense, you can only do so much. If someone doesn't want the help, then what can you do? Sort of thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. But somewhere along the line, like, rehab did fail Brian Christopher. Like, it didn't work for him in getting him to the place he needed to be mentally, And you're right. There's only so much you can do for someone, and maybe some people are beyond help. Maybe Travis, maybe some people are just so gone, that they can't be helped. But maybe that. Do you know what? I think we should. Look, the argument should be ended by saying maybe there is more that could be done if it's looked into more. Because I'm sure everybody is salvageable with the right amount of investment and the right amount of help.
Exactly. Speaking about mental health and all that, I did it again. Speaking of mental health, I need some mental help moving off the...
I'm buying him a Theosaurus for his birthday.
I'll gladly read it. Get my mind off the Big Show and Kane in slow motion. Where it's tag team match time, isn't it?
No, you wish. It's X-Pac versus Bulldog time. Yeah, exactly. I don't know what to say about it. Honestly, Travis, this was a good match. For all the Bulldog pissed his lines at the wall backstage, this was a really decent match. This could be, with the exception of Bulldog versus Brett and Bulldog versus Michaels at One Night Stand. Well, not only, sorry, not One Night Stand. This could possibly be the Bulldog's best match on UK shores, with the exception of the two I've just mentioned. It beats, hands down, anything he did with Barbarian at the Royal Albert Hall. This beats his match with Crash Holly that we reviewed last week. Was it last week, I believe?
Yep.
Or the week before at Insurrection.
Yes.
you know, very good match.
I really liked
Yeah,
the finish in this match, how it came out of kind of
yes,
nowhere. I really like that transition from X-Pac was on the rope and kind of a slingshot counter into Davies power slam for the 1-2-3 if this was all. I really liked that, and this was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I'm just like you for all the stuff we saw from Dave. I was like, oh god, here we go. And another guy. It's not like X-Pac was a saint at the time as far as
no,
substance problems. So I was, but surprised, man. Same.
yeah, not too long and very watchable. And you know what? It's like the Bulldog. They should have, let's be honest, they should have took the script away from him and just go and do this match and the running at the end, and maybe we'll have you, interact with the McMahons in a different way that doesn't require you to speak. Maybe he could have attacked Shane without speaking and knocked Stephanie over by mistake, etc. You know what I'm saying?
A silent killer gets over so much more sometimes than someone full of nonsense speaking.
Exactly, because he pissed everything up the wall beforehand, and yet when he stepped through the ropes, it was just like it was a changed man. He knew what he was doing. He was fluid. There was nothing here that would have said to me the Bulldog's on drugs apart from his look.
And they should have known better. They should know that his strong suit wasn't his promos throughout any prime of his career to begin with. Make him that silent killer. Hell, why not?
Yeah. Let's be honest, it could not have done any worse to his career in '99.
But I'm glad you agree. That was both of our surprise of the card right there, Matt. I would say go out of your way to watch that because you'll just be that surprised at how decently and watchable it was.
Yeah, and you know what? I know there was a lot of talent on the card in '99, Travis, but there weren't a wealth of brilliant, watchable matches. But this was,
WWF strong suit and why they won the quote war at the time. This was an era where fans wanted characters as opposed to workers. WCW always had the upper edge until the talent started shifting as far as work rate. That's what got WCW on the map in the first place when wrestling wasn't red hot, when people still cared about in-ring, was the cruiserweights just as much as the NWO. You had a perfect balance of characters in in-ring.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Yeah, I can't say
Shocker! Matt agrees with me, and I agree with Matt. I know everyone's stunned. So. We are almost wrapped up. Almost at the end of the road here.
We are almost at the end. Edge and Christian, Hollies, APA, elimination match.
A little pre-match promo from the Hollies before this. This is when Crash pretty much first came in. They started doing the super heavyweight gimmick, which is hilarious to this day. Now, I've always wondered, to the completely casual or someone not in the know, if you just go back and play like one of the WrestleMania 2000 or something, why this guy came out with a scale. Like if you didn't get the gimmick, I've always thought of it from like their end, like the really confusing just to see a guy with a random scale. But other than that, I always enjoyed the super heavyweight gimmick.
Yeah. Do you know what? There was limited options with Crash. I think the hardcore gimmick worked for him. At the end of the year into 2000. But what else were you going to do with him? You brandished him as a Holly, which means he had to go in with hardcore. And for guys like Crash on the roster at the time, there were very limited options. They weren't that popular because of guys like Austin, Rock, Taker, Triple H, etc. So they had to find a niche in the lower middle card.
And
I think Crash Holly found that well. He did the best with what he had.
Exactly, and obviously Edge and Christian, one of the best tag teams ever, in my opinion. And that was, I'll say this about this match. God damn, I am so glad I never had to be a wrestler and work a match against Ron Simmons, because he is stiff as my concrete floor in my basement. My God, and I really a shell of who he used to be from 92 WCW. Simmons. He was really seemed lost a couple times, clumsy. But other than that, no real complaints other than just Ron Simmons' age catching up to him in this match.
Yeah, it was fine as a three-way. I felt it went a little too long after the Hollies were eliminated, but it did Edge and Christian wonders to beat a team like APA on television. Edge with a spear on Bradshaw. I don't think Edge and Christian were as notable as faces as they were as heels. They were born heels.
Yeah.
But they graduate to that not long after this.
And
so
your current tag team champions at the time of their recently reunited New Age Outlaws. And something felt missing from this match, and it was the Hardys. I just felt like the fourth team should have been in this match.
And you can catch me as usual, as always, on Twitter at The Perfect Tenant. You can buy both of our shirts, the official Bicky TMD shirt, the official Union Smack shirt at unionsmack.bigcartel.com. And you know what? You can catch me over at Wrestle Talk. Most of the thumbs, I'm going to say, even going to say most of the articles on there are mine.
As always, at the Bicky TMD on Twitter. Hit that subscribe right down below. Retro Gaming Pro Wrestling, Bicky TMD on YouTube.